Okay. It is not taking the meeting live on Facebook, looks like.
I got the notification saying meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
It is now going live. Yeah, good. So, hello and good morning. Welcome to the 124th session of Talk to the Expert series. Hi, my name is Shivali, and I shall be your host for the session. The month of March is about sharing information about alternatives of mainstream schooling, options for our children. Early this month, we started this conversation with Dr. Sandhya Kumar, who is a retired associate director in NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling. She shared with us that how NIOS is for all and the content is available and anybody can use that content as an additional resource if we want to. There are several courses, different streams that she, shared the information with us very thoroughly. In the following week, we had Lakshmi Narasimhan ma'am. She joined us for this session, and she's a special educator herself and a parent advocate. She shared her experience of using NIOS both as a parent and also as an academician, and she explored with us the possibilities for children with special needs as far as their academics are concerned. Now, today we have this chance that we've got today is to explore another dimension of academics for our children. This time we are talking about twice exceptional children. And to tell us more about this, we have with us the guest for this session, Ketika Kateswar, who is the founder of Ability Plus, an educational consultant herself, a parent advocate, and who totally believes in the power of research. So let's listen from Ketika and let's welcome her on this platform. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Ketika Kateswar here. Thank you, Shivali, for inviting me to your amazing series, and I think that's where we connected, the core value of educating parents and mothers. I think that is something which is so close to my heart going through our own experience.
Well, lovely. See, the reason why we, keep these sessions regular basis is the information has to reach and as many times from all dimensions and all angles, such that our parents are empowered. And we're very happy to have you here today, Ketika. So, please tell us more about yourself. We would like to know you more than what I just described, and also tell us about what Ability Plus is all about.
So it's just a little background of what I founded Ability Plus out of a need to support families with gifted, twice exceptional, as well as thrice exceptional children. These terms are known but not understood, and the awareness about these terms is quite limited in India. I come from a personal experience where my high ability child was not understood, and her educational or learning needs and curiosities were not addressed and accommodated by a couple of schools. Some of them were brilliant and they supported, but they also had a limitation. So, because our the general education system in India, even now, even though we have NEP coming in, we have the NCRF, there are a lot of changes happening. Yes, there are, but majority of the system still caters to the average children, the center. So anyone who's high ability or who is below average kind of get, kind of, as they say, fall through the sieve and end up becoming, and they need the other kind of challenges. They need different kinds of environment. They need kind of a nurturing support system, not only academically, but for an overall development and the holistic development. So that's where I realized that there is a need. There are institutes which have been working in India beautifully for years, but there's always more that can happen. And for us, it was important to kind of combine and see what more can be done for gifted, twice exceptional, as well as thrice exceptional children and their families. The first set of support, the first set of nurturing people around them with resources available in India while understanding the social context of India. So this was important for me to kind of, give a platform for parents to reach out, a platform for youth to reach out, to understand. So now coming down to giftedness and just explaining it very briefly, what these terms mean. to kind of set the tone for today's session. So, giftedness is very loosely, there are many definitions, but not a concrete definitions, and very easily understood by a child's ability in one or more field as being higher than their age peers or children who have gone through similar experiences. So that is children. So they look at the world differently. They look at the concepts differently. They need a different kind of exposure. They need to be challenged. It's not a want, but a need to go out and challenge themselves. They need their academics need to be more, which gives them the ability to think freely. At the same time, understand how the world works. So it has to have a balance. It needs a challenge. It needs sometimes they say to also help them to understand how to kind of lay back and reflect and work on multiple things. They are also someone who are closer to and they seek intellectual peers rather than age peers. So for them, making friends of their age group also kind of becomes difficult. They go out. They want to have people who are more intellectually aligned with them, and they seek them out. Now comes the twice exceptional children. Now, who are these twice exceptional children? If we look at the learning curve, we all educators, mothers know about the learning curve. At one end are children with learning difficulties. I'm not are children with learning disabilities. Then we have the learning difficulties, and on the other spectrum, we have the gifted and the highly exceptional children, exceptionally gifted as well. Twice exceptional children are some who have a learning difficulty or a learning disability and are gifted in one field or more. So, this is a huge chunk of parents whom I want to reach out to, that sometimes nature has a way of balancing it out. And I think if you go to history, we will find so many scientists and so many well known people who were known to have a learning difficulty and became scientists. I can take many names, but I don't want, because I want parents to go and do their own research. Those who are interested will do their research. And the more you redo the research, the more you will understand. So there is a nature's way of kind of, as they say, that it's a nature's way of combining and balancing out. But I don't completely believe with it. It's just how a child is. We know so many people who are exceptionally bright in one subject or one field, and they just can't get head or tails of another subject. It's fine. It could be because, so taking an example of someone, I think a classic example is always going to be the Tare Zameen Pe movie, because everyone has seen it, where the child had dyslexia as but was exceptionally bright and beyond age peers when it came to painting. So this is actually, these children are called twice exceptional children. And I'm seeing a huge trend of twice exceptionality being understood and being actually noticed and seen a lot more in adults also now as the awareness increases. So adults are now realizing, oh, okay, we have this. Maybe that's where our child is coming from. So to understand their child, they need to understand themselves. And then thrice exceptional children are those who have a learning disability or difficulty, are gifted or either exceptionally gifted, and come from a background of maybe a gender discrimination or a poor socioeconomic background, or children of transgenders or children of social work, sex workers. So it adds in another level of their exceptionality, because these things add another layer of the challenges that they face in terms of working towards and finding their own potential and getting the right support. Imagine a child. So I have a child who is thrice exceptional and had a lot of problem because the child was really put down and not focused on the gift rather than the difficulty. And in the rural area, imagine in a rural setting where there is no support. Hence, my current work of where I am, I'm in a rural area doing research work as well as working with families across the continent and beyond, Indian families. So, and I'm using the technology. I think technology is a good friend. And I say, all parents, please use it. That's going to help you with working, understanding, and doing more for your parents. So, these are the three basic, broad way of explaining the three terms.
Yeah. That's done so beautifully. And with Ability Plus, you connect with parents regarding the same, and you educate them and empower them. So, would you like to
Exactly.
share something about that also with
So
us?
Ability Plus is a platform. If you go to the website abilityplus.in, there these terms are explained, and along with that, there are services that we offer depending on the family and the child. So whether it's creating an individualized educational plan, or connecting with resources, or understanding what are the academic requirements available for their child, if the child is facing any academic difficulty, also understanding if they want to homeschool, whether a homeschooling setup will work for them. If not, then connecting them to some of the alternate schools across India, so that they can work around them. At the same time, conducting sessions with parents to educate them, empower them, and kind of do a hand holding for them when they go through these difficult phases of understanding and getting lost. So these are, and then then we have also services for adolescents to understand this. When they reach adolescence, all these things, the unable to understand, the unable the their ability to not be able to figure out what's happening with them, how do they focus, they are also thinking of future. So depending on a child and the family, the services are there to kind of help them go through those difficult phases.
Mm. Yeah,
So Ability Plus, as it says, whatever the child's ability, we try to increase it by one. Whether it's 0 or 100 doesn't matter. It's just making the ability plus one.
lovely. So, help me understand this. When a child is missing milestones at the early stage, when the child is still 12 months, 18 months, and the diagnosis happens that the child may have some certain milestone delays or some developmental delays, and when the child realizes that the child may have certain learning disability disorder, but is exceptionally good about something. So, unlike the diagnosis of ADHD or autism or similar conditions, the diagnosis for twice exceptional happens when the child is able to demonstrate some exceptional qualities, or how does it happen? How, when do you diagnose a child or identify a child with twice or thrice exceptionality?
Okay. Now, when we talk about twice exceptionality, we also always have to understand there are two aspects to the child's learning abilities. And when I say learning abilities, it's how they absorb, understand, and make sense of the world around them. And when we say world around them, it includes everything, right from social etiquettes to social skills to how do they talk to the communication, learning, academic, even understanding how they feel and their emotions and their feelings. Okay, so when these aspects are there, the two aspects of giftedness as well as the learning difficulty or disability, parents need to understand that they need to look at both of them separate. In India, most of the times, the learning difficulty or the disability gets diagnosed, but the giftedness or the high abilityness takes a back seat because there is still awareness. The awareness is still increasing. We still don't know. That is where I say the parents need to become the advocate for the child. Yes, there could be a difficulty, there could be a disability, but if the parents see that the child is advanced and doing good in one particular field, encourage it, talk about it. Don't think that you're boasting about your child. Don't think that there is, oh my God, there is an issue with my child. Don't ignore the other part. The first identification is always going to be by the parents. Okay. Unfortunately, in India, there are hardly any places which are going to assess twice exceptionality. Most of them, they consider, they work on the learning difficulty, learning disability, because for the simple reason that we have a legal system there to help such children. We have an act. We don't have a gifted education policy yet. So it's when it comes, it's going to talk about NEP spoke about the gifted children. There are systems available, there are spaces, there are programs available to handle the giftedness. And then we have these alternate schools which are handling these two. So yes, we have people who are taking care of children with learning difficulty and giftedness, twice exceptionality and thrice exceptionality. So there we had to work individually to help them understand. But again, the assessment happened, the identification happened first by the parent. Until unless parents, a lot of times I've noticed, and parents who come to me, they just hide behind the child's, they don't talk about, because the issue of learning difficulty and disability has been made so big that it's going to affect the child's life. It's this, that, you have to go for therapy. The scare and the fear becomes so high that they somewhere the giftedness or the high abilityness just kind of takes a seat back. So parents should first make sure that they become the advocate and don't let that happen. Yes. Second, if you're looking for formal assessment, the way learning difficulty and disability is assessed, similarly, giftedness can be identified at any age. Okay, there are tools available for that assessment. There are many tools in India as well, in Pune, and so you can approach. But parents need to first take the first step and say, this is what we need to do. This is where my child is, and I can see that my child is doing brilliantly in this particular field, and seek out the support.
Okay, wonderful. So, what you're saying is children, okay, I'm now changing a little here in terms of once a child is diagnosed with learning disability disorder and is demonstrating some very exceptional skills, it could be related to music, singing, playing an instrument, exceptional skills in mathematics, doing calculations, or anything, absolutely anything at all. Yeah. From that moment, the parents who really want the children to be uh, schooled in the mainstream school, and they go through a lot of pressure, and eventually it reflects on the child also, when they want the child to still continue with the mainstream schooling. What are your thoughts about what should be done to support them grow academically alongside with their exceptional skills that they have?
The first thing I always tell parents is, if your child is diagnosed as being twice exceptional, first thing, reach out, connect with other parents, connect with educators, and connect with resources available in the world. This is going to give you tips, ideas of how to help your child and their particular disability, particular gift, while addressing the difficulty or the disability. Now, when you have these strategies, this is where we step in a lot of times to make either things easier for parents. Now, once you have the strategy, then the first step needs to be to make sure that the school management is also made aware. This is where my child stands. See, all our schools, I'm a firm believer that all schools want to do good for the child, but they also have the limited bandwidth. So as parents, we need to make our children's school, their management, their work easier. If we go to them saying that this is where my child has been assessed, this is the diagnosis, and for us, these are the activities which I used and they worked at home, and this is the way it can be incorporated in the school. When this work becomes easier for schools, they are way more absorbent of these strategies. And they have been adopted by so many schools. And I can give multiple examples. But just going to the school and saying, I think my child might be exceptionally somewhere, and saying, what can you do, is not going to yield results. So when you know that your child, similar way, the moment we know that our child has a learning difficulty or disability, automatically we parents get into a higher gear of what more can we do? And we continue doing. Also understand that when a giftedness aspect gets added, the child is learning 24/7. So, and the child is going to be in school for 8 hours. The child is sleeping for 8 hours. The rest of the 8 hours, the child is with you, with the parent, in the house, with the community, in the activities. So those 8 hours are going to be extremely important of what you do. So the activities of doing, so a school is always going to be supportive if they feel that the parent is with them. And I always ask parents to fall back on a very cute thing, a very cute concept, which is called the PTC. It's a triangle with parent, teacher, and child at the 3 points. And for the triangle to continuously and be a nice, equilateral, cute looking triangle, parent, teacher, and child have to work together. So look at that balance. And for you, a teacher has to take care of 40 children. You have to take care of one children. So how can you make the teachers work easy? So when you go with these strategies, so for me, you educate, figure out what are the strategies that will work for you and your family, and take it to the school that this is what is working. This is what is going to work. This I tried it at home and this particular thing worked. Can you figure it out and incorporate in the school for the child? One of the beautiful things of NEP 2020 is differentiated classrooms. And all teachers of CBSE board, who are with CBSE board, I know, have gone through a training where they each one has understood what is differentiated classroom, the strategies to employ, and they're using it. On ground, of course, it's going to take some time for it to come, but then teachers have been trained and they know a differentiated classroom. They just need the support to be able to do it. So why not we do as a parents do?
So maybe there should be an induction for parents also for NEP, so they understand what they can avail from this policy and what the child is entitled for based on this policy.
Yes, definitely. If a parent has not gone, I know something that in Pune, most of the CBSE schools have done an induction program to understand NEP 2020 in the last few years. But if not, then parents should take time and read that 60-page document to understand what the government is trying to say in terms of assessment. So now, that's the next step I'm going to come down to and talk about when it comes to the child. What other support? The next step is working with the school to understand how the child is assessed. That is important. So I know schools, for example, I'm just going to take an example of a school where they're the children, I think about fifth grader children. It's an inclusive school and they are working together. They are learning on the same concept. They attended the same classes, everything same. During assessment, there was a small shift done. Some children gave a paper pencil answer. Some gave a Google form answer where they just had to click it. The questions were same, everything was same, but they had to click it. Some were even allowed to give answers as voice notes. So it's like the kind of interview we are doing. So that kind of an interview was done by a teacher, or even I know as parent, where a parent did that interview on a video call. The parent is asking question, the child is replying. The parent, and that's how the child was assessed. Why can't we incorporate these kind of assessments? So, but there again, the school needs support and a very active parent to help and become their support system and make their life easy. Because if they give it for one child, other parents are going to ask. So that time you need to be aware with all the legalities as well as the documents and everything that's available with you, that this is the reason why my child needs to be assessed in a different way. And why wouldn't it be? I think every school, if a child can benefit, every school will come on. That is, I have something I strongly believe. Ultimately, we are all trying to do good for the children. So two things: giving them strategies, differentiating strategies in classroom, and working out a different assessment module or a assessment system is definitely going to help children with twice exceptionality, because these are going to be part of the individualized educational plan for them.
So these are kind of accommodations that the children should be given.
Yes. Yes. So parents need to be, but first of all, parents need to be aware and they need to understand what works for their child. Once they know, I think it becomes really easy to advocate. And why not? This example that I gave you, why can't a fifth standard child be allowed to answer answers verbally? Why do they have to write it down? The child is not able to write, fine, but the child can talk. Or even if that matter, the child can type, let them type. If NIOS can allow answers to be typed at the 10th and 12th level, why not? Why not children in the school level?
That organically gets me to the next question, which is about that, which is where I found you. I want to tell the audience who are watching us today is Ketika is one big resource when it comes to NIOS, and she advocates it very beautifully and very powerfully also. So please tell us about how you see NIOS as a tool to support our children with academic excellence.
NIOS is one of the more than I think 25, 30 open schooling boards in India, is the only national board, national open schooling board, and that's the reason. And it's old. I think it's there for since 1979 is what I remember, or 1980. It's been there for a very long time. Um, NIOS is a platform which is available for every child, irrespective of their abilities. Unfortunately, NIOS became known for a board for children with learning difficulties. But I also know children who are, so our homeschooling community is using NIOS in a big way. I'm just going to list out the pointers, main pointers is NIOS lets a child take exam when the child is ready, irrespective of age. There's a minimum age, but there's no higher age. So if you think the child is ready, you give the exam. At lower levels, which are the OB levels, which are equivalent to third, fifth, and eighth grade exams, the child even does not need to give those minimum 4 or 5 exams in 1 year. You can split it over years. So a child who is on the autistic, on the ASD spectrum, and has severe learning difficulty, you focus on one subject at a time in a year, or 2 subjects at a time, which are doable, and clear that grade exam over 2 years. This also gives the flexibility for parents to add in all the therapies, the additional support required, the activities, work with the child. Even if the child wants to go to an alternate school or an inclusive school, then work with them. It gives a lot of time for parents, educators to help the child learn, and the child learns at their own pace, at their own level. This is the biggest advantage that can be there for children with learning difficulties, gifted children, average children, homeschool children, road school children, world school, everyone. So it's big advantage that they give the exam and they are ready. Second, the curriculum is a guideline. And if anyone goes to see even the 10th and 12th, the practicals, everyone is, worried 10th standard ke practicals kaise karenge? If you look at the 10th standard practicals, the manuals, they are so beautifully done that most of the practicals can be done at home using the things which are at home. I call our kitchen as the maths lab because everything we do, there's a lot that you can do there. You can learn maths, you can learn physics, everything. So make your house an environment where which is according to what you enjoy doing. If your child, simple, one point, if your child loves to draw on a standing surface, and we get worried, nahi, pure ghar mein karega. No, explain the child, this is your wall, do whatever you want to do on that. Or just paint it and make it into a blackboard wall. It's as simple as that. But understand that for a child to write in a lot of places, children who are facing issues with writing, they are made to write on a vertical wall like this. It helps develop their shoulders because writing is not in fingers, it's in shoulders and elbows. Fingers come last when it comes to writing. One of the experiments that I ask parents to do, and I'm going to share that. If your child is facing a difficulty in writing, and I'm talking about children, let's say below 7 years. If you want to understand, a lot of pressure comes कि नहीं लिख नहीं रहा है, लिखने को नहीं आ रहा है. Wear boxing gloves and then try to write. With a small pencil on that four-line notebook. That's how your child is feeling to write. If you are not able to control it, how is the child going to? So even if the signals are going from your hand, you're still not able to write legibly. That's the same thing that happens with children. They're still developing their hand-eye coordination, the way their brain is sending the signals to their hands, the way the muscles are receiving the signals, it's still developing. So it's okay. Be patient, work. Paper pencil काम नहीं करता, get kinetic sand. वो काम नहीं करता, get poster colors. वो भी काम नहीं करता, if you have these nice French tiles at home, give sketch pen and let the child do it on the tiles. एक पोचे में सब साफ हो जाता है. Why stick to paper pencil? If the child cannot write small a, let the child write a big 5 feet A. Well, how does it matter? Take chalks. But parents need to go and expand what they can do. Take examples of what you can do. If the child doesn't want to do addition, subtraction, ठीक है, बच्चों को बोलो जाके पत्थर उठाओ. Patthar se subtraction karo. When they are in the park, let them count the number of ladders on a stair, or let them see the shapes which are there in the playing area, or let them just at night look at the sky. Figure out something that they like, and if they like slime, which a lot of children like, slime hai, clay hai, use that. There are multiple options available on the internet to kind of just work around and do things. आटा बनाना है, आटा बनवाओ. क्या होगा, थोड़ा सा आटा फेंक दोगे, चलेगा, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. बच्चा मुंह में डालेगा, खाने दो आटा. मैदे का बना लो, कुछ तो you can do it. But don't restrict yourself to what others can do. Figure out what you can do at home as the parent of a twice exceptional child. Figuring out giftedness as well as the difficulty. What works together? What is there that we can bring together? And finding that middle path for every child, which is going to be different and exceptionally unique for every child. Because twice exceptionality is unique for every child.
Yeah, that's so true. Each child, irrespective of abilities or disabilities, as we may call them, is so unique, and therefore, parenting for each one of them has to be different. And it cannot be a mold that we can cast and just walk around and expect it to work on its own. We have to get along with them. We have to find ways to connect and make them learn and make it more interesting, learning more fun. I remember when you were sharing this. So when I used to go to a health a spa or a salon with my 3 year old when she was really tiny, I would tell her that count the doors. So starting with the doors, so how many doors are there? That is how she picked up counting. She was very small. Then I would tell her count the bottles when she would have done counting gates, lights, and everything, and people and chairs. And then I'd have, okay, go count the bottles. Then she say, okay, this is too much. I cannot do it. But that's how you make learning more fun and interesting.
Exactly.
So the world is the classroom, and that's where you have to explore
Yes.
learning from that. So
I take a classic example of this. This concept of fractions was learned in our house using baking of a cake. That has always been there. For me, it's been the most fun concept. The Pythagoras, I think my daughter at the age of 5 or 6 years picked up the concept of Pythagoras theorem using the ladder of the loft bed in our house. So it's just there, it's just there. We just need to open our eyes and see what's available. And understanding we are involved in a lot of wildlife rescues. I don't need to work about biology. I don't need to think of biology at all. Everything is there being seen, kind of just there. It's learning through actual experiences.
True. So while we were talking, there are a lot of comments here, and we have Nina Girish, who has asked you a lot of questions. Some of you've answered in the course when you were talking, and there are still some that she is sharing, and I'll read out some of her comments. So she says, yes, there are limitations in schools, and so two-way understanding, acceptance is important. She's talking about the parent, teacher, and the child, the trio that you were talking about. Then she says a gifted education policy is needed. Parents need to understand and accept the reality as to help their children. Parent advocates first identification is done by the parents. So she's cheering you for that. Also, she wants to ask a question, which probably you have explained, but you may like to do it again. So are gifted children and special need children both from the same stream, or it is different? So you can choose to answer that. And also, she wants to know about your podcast. So we'll come to that also.
Okay. So when it comes to twice exceptional children, it's usually found that the learning difficulty and the giftedness fall in different categories, usually in different fields. Okay. So for example, a child might have a dyscalculia and have a beautiful and is a singer. Okay. Also, I'm also trying to kind of increase awareness that giftedness is not connected to only performing arts, which is something that is highly encouraged and seen. So it's limited. A lot of people think that giftedness is limited to performing arts as well as to sports, maybe. Not necessary. It can be in academics as well. So a child might struggle with, a language, but be exceedingly brilliant in understanding scientific concepts. Or have dyscalculia but can write beautifully. or have dysgraphia and is a maths whiz, or has absolutely no interest in academics, no subjects, and but wants to do baking the whole day. And they are brilliant at that. They are brilliant at that. There are some children who are tiny. There are some gifted children who are tiny, and they the kind of palettes they have, the kind of vocabulary they have, the kind of talks that they do is amazing. Can it be put into any particular academic or a giftedness criteria of performing arts or sports? No, they are just brilliant verbalists. They can talk beautifully. So so it can be. So I forgot her name. What did you say her name is? Yes,
Nina Girish.
Nina. So yeah, Nina. So it's about figuring out where the twice exceptionality lies in the whole learning spectrum.
Yeah. So Nina says to that, once parents understand this, life will be beautiful. So thank you for explaining that. Sarita Shukla is here and she says practical learning is not only fun, but it remains with us and kids for a long, long time.
Always.
So ready. Nina further says our surroundings have enough resources for experiential learning. And I think this is so important
Of course.
that we allow our children and unwind with them as adults, because we also need a lot of learning and relearning and unlearning also sometimes. Yeah.
See,
And
one point I want to add here is if you some of you see, this is a painting I can show.
I will
These are
put
the
you on the spot.
things. Yeah, so if someone can see, so these are the paintings that my mom, she's an artist. These are the things, these crochet things that have been made at home. These small things have been collected. Now, because art is such an important part of her life, I never had to explain colors to my daughter. Never. When children of her age were picking up what a difference, what is purple, I think she was already into lilac, lavender, mauve, cream mauve, and I don't know what shades. So it's about the environment you create at home. It's very important to create an environment that works for you and your child. And I also say this because yes, there are going to be multiple activities, but weekends is something that are so sacred to us. We don't feel like going out of the house. We enjoy our inside our house more than going out. So work on that. I think that is something that COVID also taught all of us, that if we are happy inside our house, we're going to be happy anywhere in the world.
That's so true. So
So
true.
your surrounding and your learning, all these philosophies, pedagogies are there. But I strongly believe that our house is the first teacher of any child.
Mhm.
And with children, we also look at things differently. So why not work around that?
Lovely. And now it is time to ask about you. You as a podcaster, you are doing some amazing stuff there. Also about you as a researcher. So please go full throttle and tell us about all your passions that you do.
Okay, so so one podcast episode with Project Nomad was done. It was all about raising a gifted child in India, where I kind of gave a very personal um, document of how life has been with my daughter. She just turned 10, and that's exactly when the podcast was done. So it was a decade of being a parent. I'm working on writing a book, which a lot of parents are telling me. So yes, that's going to be the next in part. Currently, as besides being a counselor, so I'm an educational consultant. I help with Sen coaching, alternate educator. I'm a counselor with the Indian Army as well, with a lot of army, because I come from an army background. So I have, it adds a different context aspect to what are the support required. We are wildlife enthusiasts. It is something which is very close to us and we do it very passionately, which is rescuing of wildlife, which includes snakes, owls. As we speak, there is an owl that we are actually a wild owl that we're taking care of for a few days. And we work closely with the forest department officials to help them and give our children understanding the environmental consciousness. We are part of places which are building, environmental balancing activities like a bird park or a butterfly park or clearing of step wells. We look at local history. So for us, learning is happens a lot. So history is being learned with local history. So we learned about Buddhist monks and what they were doing after discovering the caves that are near our house. And we go back. working with ASI officials, working with technology is a huge part. So where one we are doing this, we are not always in nature. There is a huge amount of time given to online gaming for development, which is, I think online gaming has been brilliant when it comes to helping my daughter connect with people, not connect, handle bullying as well, understanding social skills, understanding how people strategize. I think this has been many things that we have been doing. Along with this work, for me, another is research. I'm passionate about research. I can say that because it's really fun. So one, we are doing a research which is, working and kind of studying the experiences of gifted children from the rural area, because they have been doing. So that's one research which I'm doing with colleagues span time zones. On the other side, I'm working on a project which I've just recently started, where I'm increasing the awareness about exactly giftedness and twice exceptionality amongst teachers who teach children from the rural area. And I'm talking about these semi-rural, semi-urban, fringe areas of big cities, because they have the resources of the city, but they don't know how to reach out to them. So if I, and how much can I go and talk to parents? I think teachers is the first thing. And third, I'm working on an interesting project, which is bringing an assessment tool to India, which not only talks about and assesses a child's learning, academic, socio understanding, and multiple, there are 7 aspects to it, but also gives us ideas of what to do next. A lot of time, and this came from my experience, where a lot of parents come to me with reports from various assessments, and they said, okay, our child has been assessed, this is the report has been explained, now what? The now what is a huge question mark in India. And then it's important to have people on the same board, a child's teachers and the parents on the same board. Ki now what may this might work. So out of these 10, please try out 10, at least 3 will work. So you will know what exactly works. So this assessment tool is something that I'm working, and I'm very soon going to, I'm kind of bringing it into an Indian context. It's a tool which has been developed across time zones by experts who have been into this field for decades. And it's going to make life of teachers and parents easy, which is ultimately that I'm trying to do. And all this is besides homeschooling my daughter. Everything works around her. Weekends, we just stay away from technology, today being an exception. But yes, weekends are off mobile, are just doing what we want to do at our pace and at what we want to do. So this
Lovely.
is in a nutshell of what I'm doing. In the meantime, yes, there's a podcast that happened on giftedness. I think there's another podcast available. I think it got released a couple of days on what is the homeschooling community and how we are homeschooling and what works and how it's doing things. And I think a couple of more in the pipeline.
Wonderful. So we're so happy to know about what you mentioned. Sarita says, so good to know about such a multi-talented, I would say, skilled and interest person that you are. Truly inspirational. Brilliant. Nina says, salute to your spirit. We have Ranjani Gangadharan. She says, best wishes for your book.
Thank
And
you.
Nina says, it's lovely to know you. And we will be sharing the podcast link also in the comment section. I would request you to please take out time. Of course, once your expedition for the day is done, please do find time to respond to the comments in this comment section. And one last, ending note that I want to have from you is, which is the important part for us, is about any message that you want to give to 3 parties: A, the community; 2, the professionals; and 3, the parents. So you can choose your order and please tell us your message.
I'm going to combine it and say for all 3, educate yourself. Okay, educate yourself according to you. Whether the community, I know your community is beautiful with all mothers. Yes, as a community, again, if you individually educate yourself, you're educating the community. For educators, if you educate yourself and accept that there are multiple things happening in the world which can be brought to our children in India, work on those. Again, educate yourself. And third, to the parents, again, you are the biggest advocate of your child. And understand this, no matter which school your child goes to, they are there for a limited time. Compared to the time spent in the school, the child is spending more time with the family and at home. Even if the parents are not there, it's at home. Create an environment which is going to be conducive for your child at these two places. So education is I think the key for everything. Along with that, our keyword, and I'm going to sign out on that keyword, the keyword that we work on is exposure. The more you expose yourself as parents, as educators, as community to different ideas, to different concepts, to different things that people are doing, your experience increases.
Wow. So make learning more experiential based and expose yourself and educate. So I think the alphabet of the day is E, and because it is twice exceptional, thrice exceptional. So thank you so much, Ketika, for creating this time for us and giving us so many things, food for thoughts for all of us, irrespective of parent or otherwise. There is so much that we all can do, contribute to make the world more warmer, accepting place for our children to be in. And thank you once again on behalf of the entire team. I truly appreciate you giving us this time and information. Stay tuned for more, which is coming up. On this platform, we will be having a musical extravaganza 8.0 coming very, very soon. So, yeah, look after yourself and have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.